Hello YouTube, it's DasGregor, and welcome back to another Gen 2 First Impressions. Well, the holidays are upon us, and as we think about gifts for the kids and gifts for others, I thought about looking for a more light distribution. Not light as in lightweight, but just fun and something that's just whimsical. So, in my search, I have found DouDouLinux. Now, before you start to chuckle and laugh, for those of you who think about DouDou being something else, I have looked up on the internet as to what they may be referring to with DouDouLinux. And in France and French-speaking countries, DouDou can be a term of endearment. It can also mean something that is used for a small child to comfort them. So, it isn't what I thought it was, thinking that they were just being funny, because this is a Linux version for children. They say on the website that the Linux version is for those between the ages of about 2 to 12. That being said, I went ahead and set this up for my two kids because they are 5 and 8 to play with it and try it out. And they absolutely loved it. They had so much fun this week getting to play with it that even though I have Linux Mint set up with some games, and some of the same games that are even on DouDouLinux, they actually kept asking, Daddy, Daddy, please put DouDou back in there. So I might have to actually put this onto a CD for them to use. Now, before we get into DouDouLinux, I just want to say that this is a distribution that is not meant to be installed onto a computer. I didn't see any type of installation available. I'm sure there are ways to do it, but it is really meant to boot either from a CD or a USB stick. Therefore, because of that, there's no way to install software inside it, and I couldn't set up anything for screen capture or anything else. So I am running this in my virtual box just to let you see what it is, so I can still capture everything. So without further ado, here is DouDouLinux. When you first start it up, you've got simple things such as discovering the mouse. You know, a child who has never used a computer needs to learn how a mouse is used and keyboard, etc. And this does a really good job of bringing in some tools that can let them try to just learn how to use the mouse. And it's just a simple drawing program that lets you run around and do different things. Every time you click the button, it creates a little point there, and if you just drag it and keep the button down, it draws on through, and whatever color you've stopped it on and start again, it does that. Anyway, that just kind of gets them familiar with using the mouse. Anytime that you want to get out, you just hit the escape key. It brings you back to this main menu. There's no way to really log in. I mean, it has this username, and I remember some people saying that there were passwords that you could use, and then other people saying no, there are no passwords at all. So I didn't bother. Everything you need to do is right here in this menu system, and it pretty much graduates from simple mouse usage to more advanced mouse usage to some small games, Tux Paint, which my daughter really likes a lot, Gcompriz, and some other educational games. Now if you were to click on that one, for instance, it's going to bring you to another list of games that you can do, all very child friendly, very whimsical. You know, this, if you're looking to introduce your children to Linux and wanted them to learn some of the basics of Linux and get excited about something like this, this is awesome. There are so many cool little programs. They have taken all the best programs that are out there for children on Linux and put them in this one spot. And even educational, as I was going through here, here's mathematics and math and adding, subtracting, alphabet and reading, all kinds of fun things. A few small things like strategy games. Now, of course, everything you see here on the small menu will be in the larger later on, which I will show you here. So if we go ahead and get out of this one, get back to the main menu. They have a small version of DouDouLinux, which just gives you basics. And I'll just go in there real quick just to let you see, as we are doing a review of this. This is just going to give you some more of those same games that we saw above in a small menu system. Now, most of these work really well. I did have this set up on my kids' it's an old laptop that I built about 12-13 years ago, so it is pretty old legacy hardware. It takes 3 to 5 minutes to boot from the USB stick on their hardware. It doesn't take but maybe 30 seconds to boot on my system, but it's good to know that it will work on old hardware as well as new hardware, so you don't have to be giving them your Core i7 to play with. That old Pentium in the corner would work just fine for this. You may want to boot it, or of course burn it to a CD, or actually you have to boot it to a DVD. Not boot it, because it is about a gig in size. But as you can see here from the Mini, it just gives them a basic set of games that they can play. And they can still get into some of that other stuff that you saw before, like the mouse game. There's a tic-tac-toe game. These are all really great. When you go into one of these, for instance, you can play against the computer, you can play against... I'm not sure about how online stuff works right now. That I'm never crazy about, online with children. But with everything in technology, you got to teach your kids right. You got to make sure they understand the dangers of online gaming and online chatting, that sort of thing. And it's a better thing to do at a younger age than them find out at an older age and you didn't realize they were doing and getting into that stuff. But you can play with a friend that's right there sitting next to you. Those are the two big ones, next to you, and play against a computer. And just a fun game. I'm sure some of you guys might have even seen this before, where these are all games that are always available within Linux, and all distributions really should have these available somewhere. So if you ever find a game that your kids really like and you just don't want them to have to go into this environment, you can always install these games on Ubuntu or Debian, Gentoo, etc. And if we go ahead and try to get out of this one, let's see if we can. We just want to, let's try change activity, see if that'll get us back to the main menu. And this is the big one, the whole DouDouLinux. We click on this, it's going to give you everything that you can do. And as you can see, it shows where I'm at for my locale, the time of day, which is incorrect for me, but that's okay. Network support. Since this is going through a virtual box, it's using NAT in my current local network. But you'll see there's a few more games listed here on the Learn. We have a couple more buttons other than Tune and Learn. You can go into Work. They even have KTurtle, MyPaint. I'm just naming a few. An editor program for them to use, calculator. There's a little document that talks about DouDouLinux and how to use it. There is a web browser, and I was kind of surprised that there is one, but I suppose when your children get a little bit older, it is safe. I let my 8-year-old go to some educational websites that her school gives her, but I make sure she understands she's not allowed to type in any URL. She needs to ask me permission first before doing that sort of thing. But if it's from school and I've approved the URL for her to go to because they've approved it, I don't have a problem with that. But we move on here. There's some adventure games, arcade games. She's played some of these and really enjoyed them. She did tell me that there were a couple that seemed to lock up and break in the middle. of her playing, and she just had to hit the escape key or go into a different area to back out of it and go into a different game. And I'm not sure if that's just because of the older hardware or if it's because of issues with the distribution, but for the most part it's given her and her brother, who is 5 years old, a lot of fun entertainment to play. Now this even has some stuff with the webcam that you can play with, and of course I don't have the webcam hooked up for this one to work. Stop motion, some fun music, and it is multimedia in there, so a lot of interesting things. And then if you need to set it up and try to get your hardware to work proper, you can get into here to tune and set up mouse, keyboard, sound issues if you want to get that working, your system to see if you want to get your webcam working, or if you want your kids to be able to print. Another thing about this is you should be able, if you go into system, to set up a live USB so that they can save their games, save their drawings, that sort of thing, and build it so that data can be kept. And there is an option for data persistence as well. All in all, this has been a fun little distribution, a little different than what I normally look at, but since the holidays are coming up and this is the time to be thinking of all those neat little gifts that you can get your kids, this is of course a little on the cheap side, but for what you're getting for the value, it's awesome, and there is a lot in there. So I hope you guys enjoyed DouDouLinux, and if it's morning, evening, noon, or night, whatever you're having, I hope it's a good one. Thank you for watching, and I do apologize if you're still watching this and you watched my last Gen 2 in review on the Lua kit. I didn't realize that I'd had my screen capture set to just a certain area of my display, which kind of threw a few things off. And I realized that as I was setting this one up to capture just the DouDouLinux that, oh dear, I did that. Too late now. Anyway, thank you very much. Hope you all have safe, wonderful holidays. And I'll be back next week with another distribution. Thanks for watching. Bye.